Hey, I'm John Tabler. Welcome back. Today I'm going to revisit making a starter. I've had a few questions about it, and what I want to do is show you how fast and very simply you can make a starter. I grind my own wheat. I haven't always done that, and sometimes I'll buy 100% whole wheat flour. But to make a starter, what you want to do is just take the wheat. If it's freshly ground, great. Preferably you got 100% whole wheat flour. Because anything that's bleached is going to have toxic chemicals in it, and also it's going to be completely stripped of nutrients if it says enriched on the side. So you really want to get 100% whole wheat flour so you know that it's nourishing your body. Then you just take like 3 heaping tablespoons full and put in a glass, and then you want to use purified water. This is reverse osmosis water. You can use spring water. You do not want to have chlorine in there. Pour some in. Don't measure. It's not important. Stir it. That's actually very liquidy, which is fine. This is perfect. You can't mess this up. And I really want to say to you right now that that's what you do to make a starter. And as I've said in other videos, nobody's really saying it like that, but that's all there is to it. Now what you do, you come back in a day and a half, you leave it sit on the counter, because on the counter it's warmer, and fermentation is going to happen quicker when it's warm. If you put it in the refrigerator, it gets cold, slows everything down, almost makes it dormant. And so when I'm storing starter for quite a while, I'll put it in the refrigerator if I'm not going to use it. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like right now, because I just took this out of the refrigerator. So I put a plastic wrap over the top of it, and you can see that the cup has all sorts of this kind of growth from when it it's not growth, it's just like it had bubbled over when the starter bubbled to the top and got on the side. And you know, after a while, if it gets kind of unappetizing to you, then what you do is you just move the starter in the bottom to a new cup and add it in there and wash this one. It's really not a big deal. But if you just leave it out all the time on the counter where it's warmer, all this kind of stuff is going to happen quicker. It's going to keep fermenting. The longer it sits there, and it gets even more acidic if it's exposed to the air. But you can do it. It's fine to do like that. I just put mine in the refrigerator when I'm storing it, just to slow everything down and keep it. And this has been in there for at least a week and a half, and you'll notice that it has a little bit of coloring on the top. Sometimes it'll get a little bit darker because that's called the hooch, and the hooch is actually an alcoholic substance that gets on the top. It really protects it from degrading further. But you can see that this is like sauerkraut, only sour ground up wheat, and it's fully probiotic, and you can actually eat that, and I'm going to. It's excellent. Actually, if you put honey in it, you can think of it like lemonade, because that's sour. Now, don't get it wrong. Sour does not mean rotten or rotting or going bad. It's just a description, like a lemon is sour, a description of the taste. It's actually preserved. It's a supernatural process that is in things that fermentation is, and it's the opposite of rotting. It preserves it. And so it's this property that does so many magical things. Now, back to this starter. That took me, what, like about 30 seconds. That's all it takes, because then in a day and a half you come back and you add that much more again. It's like kindling a fire, and you wait another day and a half. You add, I'm just going to do it. Let's say I come back in a day and a half. That will have slightly been boiling, or not boiling, bubbling. It's like a slight boil. You just add a little bit more again, and you put a little bit of water back in it, and you stir it up. It doesn't really matter. And then you set it aside. And then come back in a day and a half. Do the same thing a third time. Just like that. Doesn't matter how much, just add some. A little bit of that purified water in there. I haven't really made a mess yet either. And there you go. And you leave that a day and a half, it's going to bubble up, and then it's really made, and it's going to be in this form right here. And then what you do is you have your starter. It's done. Every time you're going to use it in the morning, this is a great way to do it. You can actually use it right out of the refrigerator without adding to it. I've noticed that it'll be a little bit more acidic or a little sharper taste in your bread when you make it. And if you want a little more mild, what you do is you, in the morning, you do what I just did here, but in your starter that you took out of the refrigerator or wherever you store it. You add about that much flour in the morning, a little bit of water, stir it up. About 8 hours later, it's going to be, or right around 8 hours, it's going to have puffed way up. And in my case, sometimes it'll boil over. But it's going to puff up, and that is when you make your bread. Because it's very mild at that point. And you take, just to finish that off for you real quick, you just do the same thing. Then you're going to imitate what you just did in that cup. In a bowl, you're going to put flour in there. Don't measure it, just put as much as you want for the size of a loaf you want. Put some water, make a dough ball, and put about 3 tablespoons of that in it. Work it through it and set it aside. I use a dish towel, and I'll show you this in the coming video. I use a dish towel and put a little flour on it, and so it won't stick. And then you put the dough ball in there with a little bit of starter in there. Let it sit overnight, and then bake it at 500 for 30 minutes. Simple, simple. If it's not simple, you're not going to do it. And it seems like everything I've seen makes it so complicated. You feel like the average person couldn't do it. It's like going to a calculus class. And I just told you, just in no time. Actually, it took a long time to tell you. Because really, again, to recap, put that much flour in water, stir it, wait in a day and a half, do it again, and then do it again, and you're done. That's your starter. Simple. And once it's made, you don't have to wait that 4 days. It's already made, and then all you do is you put a little bit in the morning. 8 hours later, it puffs up, you're ready to use it. Throw it in a dough ball, make a dough ball, throw it in a dough ball, no chlorinated water. And let that dough ball sit overnight, 8 hours, 9, 10, 11 hours, doesn't really matter. Then it's done. That's bread. You're going to bake it, but it's going to be the most amazing bread you ever had with full nourishment. It's going to help keep your body nourished and purified and healthy. And when you put butter on it or honey or dip it in olive oil with salt, you're going to be like, I never had bread before. So I really want you to try that. You can, again, if you don't use it for a couple, 3 days, you can put it in the refrigerator and just keeps everything nice and everything and slowed down. But that's how you do it. That's starter in no time. I would have said starter in 4 minutes, but I think it really only is going to take you a minute. So that's that. And I want you to hit like and subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next video. Let me know how it goes for you.